Welcome to this year's first ABBA magazine. 14th season started on Friday. In first game, last year's best team in regular season, Crvena Zvezda, hosted a newcomer, Levski from Sofia. Current champion Cibona started defending the title against Union Olimpija. Runner-up Cedevita tried to stay undefeated in Novo Mesto. Six-time champion Partizan traveled to Szolnoki, and for the end of the show, we have top 5 actions waiting for you. We start with the news. Before this season, ULEP organization demanded the change of the competition system for the final rounds of the season. There will be no Final Four tournament anymore. Instead, 4 best teams in regular season will compete for the title in EuroLeague spots in the playoff games. The other significant change is related to higher regularity of the games. Referees have now a chance to review a video and make a correct decision. We start the highlights in Beograd. Crvena Zvezda hosted a newcomer, Levski from Sofia. Bulgarian team is quite unknown to our public, and this is also the first basket of the season, contributed by Boban Marjanovic. Levski from Sofia had a good run at the beginning of the game. This was a basket of Pupovic. For the 7-point lead of Levski, Paul Ivanov scored the first 3-pointer of the game. Crvena Zvezda started a new run, and for the equalizer on 17, this was a basket of Jovic and the end of the first quarter. This was a basket by Miljan Pupovic for partial run 7-0. Crvena Zvezda answered quite well, and this was a basket of Mitrovic for 36-29. In the second quarter, Boban Marjanovic gave his best. This was one of his 14 points for 40-33. Karamfilo scored a 3-pointer for only 1 point disadvantage of Levski. But the home team woke up again. 14-1 was a partial run of Crvena Zvezda. This was a basket by Jovic. Mike Cirbe scored 10 points. This was one of his dunks for 71-47. And at the end of the game, we saw one of the best plays of the game. This was a newcomer to Crvena Zvezda, Nemanja Dangubic, for 82-53. Final result at the end was 85-55 for Crvena Zvezda, which was also the biggest margin of the first round. It's time for the second game of the round. Champion of the last season, Cibona hosted Union Olimpija. Jure Lalic was the first one to score in this game. Union Olimpija needed 4 minutes for the first basket. This was Hristo Nikolov, new player for Union Olimpija in this season, who scored first of 15 points of Union Olimpija. He was on fire with this 3-pointer. He led Olimpija to the advantage, but Cibona equalized immediately. Union Olimpija scored 15 consecutive points, and after this basket of Mirza Begic, the advantage of the team from Ljubljana was 22-34. Jarrell Blessingame broke the spell of Cibona with 2 free throws, but Alen Omic continued the game of Olimpija. The advantage was again 15 points. Jarrell Blessingame with 12 points at this time was the only player of Cibona who kept step with Union Olimpija. This was the 7th three-pointer of Union Olimpija. Marko Marinovic scored one of his. Marko Jagodic Kurica was very good under the basket in combination with Jure Lalic, who scored again. Cibona came only to 5 points at disadvantage. We also saw a lot of technical fouls. Jarrell Blessingame was eliminated with 2 of them. This was also the advantage for Olimpija. Dino Muric scored for a team from Ljubljana for 61-72. So the advantage of Olimpija was quite big before the end of the game. But Cibona made a partial score 11-0. So at the end was very tight. Luka Rupnik scored 2 very important free throws for a 3-point lead of Union Olimpija. Siriščević missed the crucial basket, and another free throws for Olimpija meant that team from Ljubljana won their first game in the ABA League in this season. This is the score through the quarters. At the end, 80-85 for Olimpija. We're heading now to Novo Mesto, where Krka hosted Cedevita from Zagreb. Nebojša Joksimović was absent for Krka because of the injury, and Cedevita played without the head coach Jasmin Repeša, who was ill, so Veljko Mršić, his assistant, took his role. This was the first basket of the game by Bilan. Jasmin Hukić, the oldest player of Krka, made the equalizer. The team from Zagreb took the advantage of the Krka's mistakes. This was a score by Pilepić for 9-16. Alexis Vangmene made 2 baskets for Krka. And this was the final score of the first quarter, 21-24. Rokoleni Ukić made a lot of trouble for Krka. This was the biggest margin for Cedevita, 9 points. This was a great alley-oop by Ramljak after assist of the Babic. And this was also the final 3-pointer of the first half, which was won by Cedevita. In the second half, game of Krka mostly depended on Malcolm Armstead. He scored 8 points of 10 by Krka. And in the third quarter, Cedevita scored only 8 points. So Krka took the advantage of that, and they won the third quarter 61-55. Cedevita managed to equalize, and they also took the lead by Bilan. Krka didn't score for 5 minutes, and that was a basket by Tomaš Bolčina. Again, Malcolm Armstead took a game in his hand. He scored 31 points, and he was crucial in the Krka's win against Cedevita. This was also a basket by Zupčić, but that was a crucial shot by Jasmin Hukić, who also got 1 free throw. And at the end, 82-72 for Krka, which was first surprise of the first round of this year's ABA League. Partizan traveled to Szolnoki without a few crucial players because of a restriction of BAT, who forbid to register new players because of the debt to Jaka Klobuchara, but this was also the first score by Đorđe Gagić. Strahinja Milošević scored the first basket for Szolnoki. Nemanja Bezbradica scored twice for a 10 points margin for Partizan. This was one of the plays by black and white team. Szolnoki was very good at the end of the first quarter, and they led the score 11-10. In the second quarter, Boris Dalo and Milenko Tepic were the best players for Partizan. Nemanja Bezbradica continued his scoring for the 14 points lead by Partizan. Then we saw 3 3-pointers by the home team. This was a score by David Vojvoda, who also managed to score a double-double at the end. In the second half, Partizan was more determined. This was a 3-pointer by Andrić. We saw a lot of 3-pointers in the second half. This was Stefan Sinovec for 37-44. Last quarter, we saw a better start of Partizan. This was Đorđe Gagić, and 14 points lead of Partizan. Hungarian team woke up in the end of the game for 51-55, but this was all they could manage. At the end, Partizan won 55-60 in Szolnoki. We are in Sremska Mitrovica, new home of Mega Vizura, who hosted MZT Skopje with his coach Zmago Sagadin. Macedonian started the game with a dunk of Marinkovic for the first lead. He scored 11 points at the end, but this was an equalizer by Miljenovic. This was the first 3-pointer by Jokic. Mega Vizura led 17-9. Bojic scored for the first double-digit advantage of Mega Vizura. Chantekin scored for the new highest margin for Mega Vizura. He is the second highest player in ABA League with 221 centimeters. Marelia made a nice dunk for a bigger lead of Mega Vizura. Marelia scored 16 points with another dunk and 15 points advantage of Mega Vizura, but Simonovski for MZT scored a lot of 3-pointers, and MZT came closer. But Mega Vizura woke up again for another double-digit advantage after the 3-pointer by Miljenovic. And the margin came up to the 15 points, but then MZT scored a few 3-pointers and a few easy baskets. And the Macedonian team came very close, but there was an answer by Ognjen Jaramas. Miljenovic brought the lead of Mega Vizura to 12 points, but after 3 consecutive 3-pointers, MZT came very close. The difference was only 3 points, and 1 minute was to play in the regular part of the game. This was a 3-pointer for the win, and we saw also the first overtime in this season. In the overtime, Mega Vizura scored 6 consecutive points and took a slightly bigger lead. After 2 minutes, this was the first basket by MZT. Lucic was the scorer, and this was the 3-pointer by Krstic, which was enough for the win of Mega Vizura. We go now to Zadar, where the home team hosted Igokea in Krešimir Ćosić Hall. This was the first basket of the center of Igokea, Duško Bunić. Josip Sobin made the first basket for the home team after 2 consecutive points, or should I say baskets by Florence. Zadar took the lead by 4 points. This was the final result of the first quarter by Kraljević, 17-13. Mladen Jeremić scored the first 3-pointer for Igokea, which was enough for equalizer on 21, but after 2 3-pointers by Florence, Zadar took the lead by 29-27. Final score of the first half made the Igokea player Mladen Jeremić. In the third quarter, Florence stepped up again. This was enough for the lead, 33-29. Ive Ivano scored for Zadar, and the biggest lead of the game, 42-34. Florence was on fire. He took another 3-pointer for 48-35. After a 3-pointer was the scorer, 53-41. Dragovic was the scorer. Josip Sobin took Zadar for the 14 points lead, 55-41. We saw also Marko Ramljak, who scored 7 of his 10 points in the last quarter. Čakarević also scored all of his 7 points in the last quarter. This was 62-53. And the final result, 68-61 for Zadar. Team of Igokea scored only 1 3-pointer in 15 shots. Last game of the round was played in Podgorica, where Buducnost hosted Metalac, another newcomer in this league, but Buducnost was the favorite in this game. Home team started the game with a 3-pointer by Suat Šehović. For the guest team, the first scorer was Nikola Jeutović, who at the end managed to make 11 points. Suat Šehović scored his 9th point for the lead of the home team, 14-9. This was the 3-pointer for the final result of the first quarter. American Reynolds brought the lead for Buducnost to 9 points. But Metalac made a comeback by a three-pointer by Malešević. Croatian center Darko Planinic scored 5 consecutive points for the lead of 32-24. Boris Bakic, ex-player of Buducnost, scored 8 consecutive points and made an equalizer on 32. He also scored for the final basket of the first half for the lead of Metalac. Suat Šehović managed to bring Buducnost to only 1 point disadvantage for Buducnost, but then Metalac scored 8 points in a row and took a lead of 39-48. Darko Planinic scored altogether 10 points. This was a very crucial basket by Planinic. Reynolds scored another three-pointer, and Metalac led only by 1 point. There is another three-pointer by Suat Šehović for the 5-point lead of Buducnost. Dusan Kutlešić scored another three-pointer. In the last minute, Omar Cook scored 5 of his 6 free throws, and Buducnost won 65-61 against newcomer Metalac. Here are the results of the first round of this year's ABA League. Crvena Zvezda took the lead because of their game with 30 points margin against Levski. Mega Vizura is second, followed by Krka, Zadar, Union, Olimpija, Partizan and Buducnost. MVP of the first round is Nikola Jokic from Mega Vizura with index 44. 19-year-old power forward scored 27 points against MZT. For 2, he shot 8 of 12. For 3, 2 of 6. He was perfect in free throws, and he also added 15 rebounds, 4 assists and 2 blocks. Now it's time for 5 best plays of the first round. This was a great dunk by Nikola Jokic of Mega Vizura. Nemanja Dangubic took a 4th place with this fast break. Jonathan Jones made the 3rd place with this stolen ball and the dunk in a fast break. 2nd place is reserved for Alexis Vangmene. He earned it with that great dunk. At 1st place, alley-oop. Ivan Ramljak was the executor after the assist of Luka Babic. These are the games of the 2nd round. Union Olimpija will host Cedevita, Cibona will host Crvena Zvezda, Zadar will travel to Skopje, Igokea Buducnost, Levski, Mega Vizura, Szolnoki Olaj, Metalac and Partizan Krka are all the other games. This is all for today. See you in a few days with more action of ABA League.